Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan and I wanted to start another video. This time I'm going to talk about the 1981 Killers album. Okay, it's a fantastic album. Most of us, Maiden fans absolutely love Killers. It's definitely a huge upgrade and an improvement in many ways in comparison to the previous album. Two of the biggest changes, of course, are first of all that, Adrian Smith joined the band, and to me, he's one of the greatest guitarists in the whole universe. I don't know, he's just fantastic. He gave a special class and level and touch to the band, Not that, Dave Murray isn't a genius. I think that Dave Murray is a great, fantastic musician. But Adrian Smith complemented him beautifully. And the other big change is that Will Malone, who had engineered the previous album, was replaced by the legendary Martin Birch. Martin Birch, if you're a metal fan, you have to know who he is. He produced some of the most incredible and legendary albums of all time, like, Machine Head from Deep Purple and Heaven and Hell from Black Sabbath and so many other things. He worked with Whitesnake and, tons and tons of musicians and bands and incredible albums that he produced, and he became the largest ongoing and constant producer of Iron Maiden for nearly 30 years until he retired, and eventually he passed away. But he was a fantastic and incredible, manager and producer and engineer. He understood, I think, very well sound and music and everything else, and metal. He gave a special dimension to music and to heavy metal in so many ways, and he helped, I think, Iron Maiden reach a higher level in their music as well. And so he brought us with Iron Maiden Killers. Okay, now this is an incredible album. This is the first edition of it. This is a British edition. I absolutely adored this record. This is actually the first record I ever owned from Iron Maiden. This is back from when I was a kid, I have had this record with me for, since 1981. And I absolutely adored this record. I have heard it a million times, and it's just, it's such a great and fantastic thing, and I heard this album first, and then I listened to the first Iron Maiden album. I was 11 when I first heard this, and my life has never been the same since then. We begin to see some nice, cute little details that their Riggs would add in a lot of their covers, and like there's a thing that says Kinky Sex Shop. It's just a joke, right next to Ruskin Arms, which was it is a legendary pub. Every Iron Maiden fan knows about it. This is where one of the bars where Iron Maiden first performed, and there are this strange image of somebody leering through a window. There's a black cat right there, right next to the symbol of his signature, and there's a couple there. It's just funny little details that Derek was known for, adding to the pieces that he made, and it's just a great, great, fantastic record. A beautiful artwork, incredible artwork, one of the greatest things that he ever made. Sorry. This collection came out, and it included 2 records. It included the Iron Maiden and the Killers album, of course, and then you had to buy the other ones and complete them. And contrary to the Iron Maiden album, this one is a lot more faithful to the original cover. The colors are pretty much exactly the same. Yet in the original Killers from 1980, the colors are a little bit brighter, a little bit more yellowy. In the new one, it's a little bit more orangey. Okay, but it's still a beautiful piece. It's a great, fantastic record, and very well made, very well produced. If you find this on eBay in prime, mint, pristine condition, this could fetch easily, I don't know, $80, $100, something like that. But you could still buy these independently, individually, each of them for about $15 to $20. So it's great to have that. There's also the other collection, of course, which is the re-release of every vinyl in picture disc format. Okay, this is a fantastic thing. Okay, this is a fold-out edition where you would actually fold it out, and you have additional artwork. I don't really open these things. I just like to keep it mint there, But this is a fantastic thing. This is another great collection that is worth having. Acquiring the box, to house all of the records, it's kind of tough. It's not easy, okay? But if you can get it, they're usually going for about $300-400 for just the box with the two first vinyls that they re-released. Then we have the singles. This is a maxi single of the Women in Uniform. Okay, it's the second time that we have Margaret Thatcher in one of the covers. There's a lot of controversy, Margaret Thatcher known as the Iron Lady and Iron Maiden. There's a lot of cheeky kind of jokes that the band was playing at the Prime Minister, But this is a great thing. This is a fantastic thing. It's a little bit, confusing because this was officially for the first album. There's actually a live album that has one studio recording with Women in Uniform, but this was released closer to the release of, the 1981 Killers album. Okay. Also, I reviewed this in my other video. There's the re-release of the first 10 years, okay, where they reissued all of the singles and maxi singles in this gatefold format, okay, which has its pros and cons. Most collectors and fans are not very happy with the idea of them being connected into one piece. I think it would have been better to have them separate. Most fans would prefer that. But I have from 1981 the original British edition Purgatory. Okay, this was only released as a single, not a maxi single, in 7-inch format back in 1981. This is also British first edition, and it's not the sleeve is not in perfect shape, but I still love it. It's one of my favorite things to have. There are rumors, and supposedly in some of the documentaries and so on, they had mentioned that this would have been the cover for the third album, even though they still didn't have a name for the third album. But they liked this very much for a single in this record, and so it was kept like that. These are re-releases of the singles and maxi singles of 1981. The band had re-released all of the singles in 7-inch format, which is great. It's fantastic. It's very well made, very interesting, but we see some variance in the colors, like this one is, it's a slightly different shade of red, okay, which I don't know. I prefer the original. Also, in the original, you notice a little bit more of the details of what Derek Riggs had painted, like the wings of the devil thingy, which look a lot better. The logo is a little bit smaller, and you could appreciate more of the background and the work that Derek Riggs had done. Okay, there's the re-release of the maxi single of the Twilight Zone, which is a fantastic record. It's a fantastic single to have. Great song. You also have here Rat Child. This is like the first time that they released Rat Child as a single. No, well, the only time I released it. And I have the maxi single version, of course, of the Twilight Zone, which is a fantastic cover, very haunting, very interesting, very weird, where you have Eddie in this translucent, ghostly kind of image, and there's the girl looking at a tarot card that says death. It's very dramatic, very extremist, very typical Iron Maiden, Derek Riggs kind of thing. But then you have very silly, stupid things like a photograph of Eddie dedicated to the girl, and there's an image of Mickey Mouse. They would do things like that. They would do silly, funny things. I think just to show to people, it's just music. It's just for entertainment. Don't take it so seriously. But it's still fantastic music. It's still beautiful music. It's still a great band. Then we have this, which is a first early compilation. It's very strange that a band, having just released 2 albums early in their career, would release a compilation of their greatest hits. But they did. This is the +1 live, and all. Most of it is live songs. This is a Greek edition that I have. This is kind of rare. Okay, but this is a fantastic thing. This is a beautiful thing. This one is a little bit difficult to find, I think. This is the British edition of the Maiden Japan record. With 1981, Iron Maiden was also able to complete their first worldwide tour, although they were simply an opening act for Kiss. But this had greatly shaped their future, because traveling and touring with Kiss had greatly changed their outlook, their point of view about music and everything else. So then we have the CDs, okay? And in the CDs, okay, like I had the original recordings, the original CDs that came out in the 1980s, and eventually I sold them. I would always regret that. But then there's the Newcastle release, which I have reviewed previously, that contained, okay, the album on one side, and on the other side it contained the singles, all of the singles, And here we see, the Maiden, the Iron Maiden single of Women in Uniform was officially regarded as part of the 1981 era of the band. Okay, and but this is a great thing. This is the first time that Iron Maiden had compiled both of the recordings that they made for that particular year into one single piece. Okay, in the 10-year collection, they re-released the singles and they launched that. Then we have again the CD-ROM re-release, which was available initially also through the Eddie the Head box set. And in comparison to the previous two versions of Killers, it didn't include a booklet. This one, did include a booklet, just like what we had seen with the release of the remastering of the 1980 edition of Killers. Okay, so this is a great thing. This is the first time we had a little bit more material with the band. Every re-release that the band had made, they constantly improved the artwork, the picture discs, the images that they put on the CDs and everything else. Then there's the mini vinyl re-release of Killers, okay, which they didn't do much with it. The artwork is beautiful and everything. It has the booklet, which is the same as the other booklet. It's basically the same recording, but that's it. Okay, it only comes with this sleeve, but it's basically the same product. It is great to have, because it's part of the collection. These are a little bit more sought after, they're a little bit more expensive, and they're a little bit harder to find. But it's basically the same recording. So that's it for now. I will continue this with a second video about Killers, but we're going to talk about the merchandising and toys and so on.